What's going on, YouTube, man? Welcome back to the channel. So listen, man, look, we gotta talk about Jonathan Kuminga, who is actually like, one of my favorite young players to actually watch. But him and the Warriors have been having like a lot of back and forth as far as contract negotiations, and I mean, it's essentially as simple as this. Jonathan Kuminga feels like he's worth this X, Y, and Z, and the Warriors are like, no, we think you're worth this. Now, the whole thing is this. Kuminga's to a point where he's essentially lost faith in Steve Kerr. I mean, there was a report that came out saying that he feels like the Warriors have stunted his growth and that he doesn't feel he's given a fair opportunity to, showcase what he can contribute. Now, I feel like when the Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler, that's what really, really, really fucked Jonathan Kuminga up. Because when Jimmy joined the Warriors, you got to understand, Kuminga's on a team with Steph fucking Curry. He's going to have the ball. But now you have Jimmy Butler, who obviously they're paying Jimmy Butler. I think they're paying Jimmy Butler at least 40 million a year and up, at least. He's going to start and he's going to have the ball in his hands as well. And Steve Kerr, he had a decision to make, because in Steve Kerr's mind, Jonathan Kuminga is one of those guys, which I agree with. He's one of those guys that need the ball in his hands. But as a coach, you still have to be able to, work around that and create some type of scheme to involve a young player, a young talent like Jonathan Kuminga, because he's completely lost Kuminga. But Kerr's ultimate decision was to, we're going to bench you. You're going to come off the bench or whatever, because Jimmy and Curry needs the ball, and figure it out. And Kuminga's like, he's not having that. So, and I think we can start with this post here that we posted a couple days ago. So it says, Kuminga's not interested in being a secondary option. Beyond the contract demands, Kuminga is in search of a more guaranteed, consistent starting role and featured opportunities, sources said. That's something both the Suns and Kings have pitched, which we'll get into that as well. Now, it says here, Kuminga would be a significant part of the Warriors' rotation to open next season, and they'll need his supplementary scoring on nights that either Steph Curry, who is 37, or Jimmy Butler, who is 35, when they're resting. Kuminga doesn't want to do that. And this is what I think. This is what Kerr has been telling him the past couple weeks, and he's just like, no, that's not no, right? So it says here, that's something Steve Kerr has voiced to Kuminga in recent weeks, and it says Kerr has been one of the leading voices trying to patch this together. But like we're saying here, Kuminga no longer wants to be a secondary option or a fallback plan, fearing a minimization in important moments, which I get it. He's a young player. He wants to showcase his talent. He wants to make a name for himself. You got to respect something like that. But again, you could look on the flip side. Maybe Kuminga's overvaluing himself, right? Because I do see a lot of people, particularly Warriors fans, they're like, let him go, trade him. He's not like, there's two sides to this that people are speaking on. So it says here, Kuminga no longer wants to be a secondary option or a fallback plan, yada yada yada. And he scored 18, 30, 23, and 26 points in the final four playoff games against the Minnesota Timberwolves when Curry went down, which Jonathan Kuminga does show like signs of potential that he can be a star player. It's just that Steve Kerr isn't really granting him that opportunity, right? Now, here's the thing. Al Horford, Kuminga's negotiate, like, the Warriors and Kuminga negotiation, conversations are holding back some players. Al Horford, who many believe are going to join the Warriors, he's waiting to see what Kuminga's doing. Gary Payton Jr., him as well, because I think he's supposed to be re-signing with the Warriors too, but he's also waiting to see what Kuminga's doing. So this whole like thing that's happening is affecting other people as well. But again, the Kings, right? At one point, now this is an older post. They did have an updated offer. Oh, so again, Kuminga thinks he's worth 30 million a year. The Warriors think he's worth around between 22 to 24, something like that. And they offered him a 2-year, $45 million offer, right? But he declined it. He's like, no, I'm not accepting that. And, Kuminga essentially, he wants to have control of his career. He doesn't want to, because understand this. The Warriors really don't want Kuminga. They don't see a future with Kuminga, in my opinion, right? This is pure business. They're essentially trying to, because again, let's get into the offers, right? The Suns offered Jonathan Kuminga a contract nearing $90 million over 4 years, including a player option, right? Now, this is obviously going to be a sign and trade deal. And the Kings were willing to offer Malik Monk a first round pick to the Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga, right? But it seems like the Warriors don't feel like that's, enough for Kuminga's value and his talent, which is why there are reports saying that they're preparing to cut off sign and trade interest, and leverage him obviously in the restricted free agent market. And the thing is, like I said, the whole point is they're trying to keep him to eventually trade him maybe in the upcoming season or maybe the off season of that season, the end of the next season, right? To get value, to get pieces and value in first round picks to leverage building a team around the trio of Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. That's my opinion, right? That's what I think. But again, the relationship with Steve Kerr and Kuminga is over. Like, there was a clip like a couple months ago that DeMarcus Cousins came out with saying that he feels that the Warriors, and particularly Steve Kerr, he like strained the relationship with Jonathan Kuminga. So check this out. I want you guys to listen to this. Listen to this.
I think Steve Kerr ruined that relationship with the DNPs. We've seen this happen time and time again when it comes to him and dealing with young talent. He just doesn't handle young talent well. He doesn't develop young. I mean, out of the years he's been there, we've seen one guy develop under Steve Kerr, and they ran him off as well, and that was Jordan Poole. So when it comes to young talent, I just don't think they handle it well. And I can see Kuminga being on the move.
Yeah.
I think they lost Kuminga. I think Steve Kerr ruined that relationship.
Yeah, man. So you heard it first from DeMarcus Cousins. So yeah, man. But let's end it on this article, right? That Clutch Points put out. A very great article. We'll end this topic for today's video on this. So it says, the Warriors are unmoved by the Kings and Suns Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade pursuit. The Warriors continue to stand strong on their stance to retain Jonathan Kuminga amid strong sign and trade interest from the Kings and Suns. It says here, with the NBA calendar flipping to August, there is still no clarity on where Jonathan Kuminga, who spent his first 4 seasons in the league with the Warriors, will be playing by the time the 2025-26 season begins. Kuminga remains one of the best free agents on the market, but his restricted free agency has been just that, restrictive. Now, the Warriors' focus has remained unchanged this offseason, although it seems like this ship has sailed in terms of Kuminga's long-term value, stalling with Golden State and the 22-year-old wanting a fresh start elsewhere. The Dubs are adamant about wanting to bring him back on a short-term contract. Recently, Golden State presented Kuminga and his representation with a short-term contract proposal where he would make between $20 million and $23 million per season. So this is exactly what the Warriors feel like Jonathan Kuminga's value is at in the market. Not $30 million, the $30 million that he thinks he deserves, around $20 to $23 million. Now, this official offer was a 2-year, $45 million contract that would have a team option in year 2 and see Kuminga forfeit an implicit no trade clause he would receive. Now, aside from having plans to utilize his dynamic play at the forward positions, the Warriors' main goal is to find a value in a trade. Exactly what I told you guys. Because the minute they traded for Jimmy Butler, at that point, Jonathan Kuminga is just like Jimmy Butler. I mean, he's not really that great of a three-point shooter, but they're both athletic. Jonathan Kuminga obviously has more upside and he's younger, but the Warriors are in win-now mode. And they feel like Jonathan Kuminga doesn't fit with their offense, essentially, right? Now, That is why retaining Kuminga, of course, the value in the trade, maybe this upcoming season or maybe next or in the offseason. Um, that is why Kuminga has been at the forefront of Golden State's offseason plans, and it is why they have not been receptive to sign and trade offers coming from the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns, which is why it's been rumored that they're cutting it off because they're just gonna wait it out basically, essentially wait it out and see if there are any options, better opportunities that they can get value for Kuminga. You know, both organizations have expressed serious interest in Kuminga to this point in the offseason, and each has made firm offers for a sign and trade. However, the Warriors have expressed little to no interest in what the Kings and Suns are willing to sacrifice. Boom. Now, with new leadership in their front office and a vision to become a more athletic team, Sacramento has made the strongest pitch to Kuminga in his camp, promising him a starting role and a long-term commitment on his salary, which I do think Kuminga wanted to go to the I think his preferred team. He prefers obviously to start fresh, like the relationship with the Warriors is done, and I think the Kings will be his first choice. Because they're offering a starting role, right? And they're offering Malik Monk a first rounder, shit like that. So, I couldn't find the post. I think we posted this. I don't know, but I couldn't find it. But, where were we? Right. So it says, while the Kings have spoken with the Warriors on multiple occasions about a Kuminga sign and trade, there has been zero movement on this front. Originally, the Kings offered Dario Saric, Devin Carter, and two second-round picks in a sign and trade proposal during the first week of free agency, which we did post a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And it says this deal was slightly increased when Sacramento instead made the two second-round picks a protected first-round pick, right? And Malik Monk's name has also been brought up in the dialogue between the two parties, which I'm surprised the Warriors didn't. I mean, Malik Monk is in my opinion, I think he's a perfect player for the Warriors and their, motion offense. He can shoot threes. He can score the basketball. I don't know. But yet the negotiations have not made it past the Kings' initial offer and the Warriors' counterproposal, which includes the likes of Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis, which I know for a fact the Kings are not giving up Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis. Keegan Murray, these are two young players. Keon Ellis is an incredible defender, and Keegan Murray is a fucking sniper. They're not giving up young talent like that, even for Jonathan Kuminga. Now, Sacramento holds no interest in giving up either player in a sign and trade for Kuminga, sources confirm. And Golden State also doesn't have interest in Carter, which has led the Kings to a dead end in their pursuit of Kuminga. So, yeah, essentially, it's looking like Kuminga may be on the roster with the Warriors this upcoming season, but you got to look into like potential. You don't want any distractions. And the Warriors better be careful with how they're going to play this because, a guy who clearly doesn't want to be there, and your guys are essentially. Obviously he's going to be a professional. If there's no deal made, he's going to show up for work, obviously. But there's potential for locker room issues there. But let me know what you guys think about this topic, man. We're approaching 13 minutes. Sheesh, 13-minute videos, man. 13-minute video, man. This is a long video. But what do you guys think about this? Is Jonathan Kuminga overplaying his hand? Should he just accept the 2-year $45 million and just, be the fourth option? Or should he bet on himself and, continue to play hardball and, ultimately try to take his future in his own hands? Let me know what you guys think, man. And yeah, I'm out.